ASD rocks. I got a really interesting question for you. You know how you and I always talk about like puberty and what it does to you? What about girls? Yeah. Do girls go through puberty?
Yeah.
They do? What happens to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure they get breasts. They go through periods.
Yeah, exactly. What about emotionally?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they go through it emotionally. But I think.
Yeah, very definitely. So, whereas with boys, a huge amount of testosterone is released. Do you remember what women have? Not testosterone. They've got. It's the opposite of testosterone in a way.
I don't know.
Estrogen. Yeah. So a huge amount of estrogen is released into a woman's body, and yes, they get their periods. How often does that happen?
I'm pretty sure once per month.
Yep, once a month. That's if you're healthy. If you're healthy, the average is once a month. And guess what the similarities are? So we know that the similarities are that they both go through puberty, and we know that the similarities are that they both get quite emotional, up and down, maybe, a lot of emotions. Pimples.
Oh.
Pimples, that's a big one in puberty.
Yeah.
Hair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to start getting hairier legs, hairier arms, under their arms. Same places you get what?
Wait, so you mean they're going to get hairy armpits?
Mm-hmm.
Like me?
Mm-hmm. Why is that so surprising?
Because I don't think I've seen a woman with hairy armpits.
Okay. Well, next time I go and see my mother, remind me not to tell you. But, do you have a beard?
Yeah.
Do you?
Oh, well, a little bit.
Why don't you have a beard?
Because it's still developing, I believe.
But what else do you do to it?
Shave it down.
Right, so if you had underarm hair and you didn't want to have underarm hair, what could you do?
Cut it off.
Shave it.
Oh.
I shave under my arms. Actually, I don't, but I have other methods. The hair on my arms, can you see that?
Uh-huh.
So they weren't that hairy when I was a little girl. And if you take a look at my legs, you'll see hair on my legs. So
yeah,
and then pubic hair. So emotions, pimples, hair development. Interestingly, a woman's voice will also get deeper.
Just not as much as boys.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they were girls are higher than boys. I don't know what the research is. But it doesn't go as deep as boys. But it definitely, so there's some really common things. So, what age does puberty start in girls?
I believe 8.
Geez,
well,
you'd be. I mean, I don't doubt that there have been cases, but that's not the majority.
All right.
That's not the majority. I would hope not. Definitely, there have been cases of it, happening at 10, which is really early. But that would be considered early.
40.
So it's usually a range. I mean, you don't just boom puberty. One day you wake up and it's all there. So it's an age range, isn't it? So what's a man's age range for puberty?
I forgot.
You forgot? Okay, so we usually say somewhere between 12 to 15. They're sort of...
Oh, and that's the male one, right?
Well, it's the same for girls. I think for girls it would be more... Unfortunately, it would be more obvious because of the development of the breasts. They might feel self-conscious. How do you think self-conscious? Like, do you know what, you don't know what self-conscious means?
I think I'll need reminding because I feel like I know it, but...
Okay, self-conscious means you're aware and you feel awkward about yourself. You don't want anyone to notice that you're developing breasts or something like that. Maybe some of the other girls in the class...
Maybe, alright.
Yeah? So, you know, maybe some of the other girls haven't yet and they're first, or in a lot of cases, a lot of the other girls have and they haven't yet. You know, breasts on women vary as much as penises do on boys. They're all different sizes. You know, there's not one standard shape or size. They're not all the same at all. So, but girls can be very self-conscious, almost embarrassed sometimes, and it seems it doesn't matter what they have, they're embarrassed about it. Either they have it too early, or they didn't get it early enough, or, you know, they've got pimples, and, or, you know, they tend to be a little bit more sensitive. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because it's really important to be sensitive. This is happening in your age group at your school, and it's really important to be aware and sensitive about, you know, other people's development, whether it's female or male. I mean, I'm sure that there are many men that are or did feel that they weren't developing early enough or big enough or whatever it is that, you know, goes around in the locker room. But it's just really important that at this time of life to be aware that it's not just you and it's not just boys who are going through these changes. And for a girl, it's a really important time to be very sensitive and aware and not make fun, and, you know, always be educated and understand that, you know, if someone that was nice to you yesterday isn't nice to you today, they could be going through something, you know, they could be having a bad day. Doesn't necessarily mean it's about you. They just haven't been told how to say, I feel angry and I don't know why, you know? Get it? Do you think it would be harder or easier to be a girl and go through puberty, or a boy?
That's a good question. Because I haven't experienced one side.
I have.
Yeah, I know you did.
I was a late bloomer. A late bloomer. What does that make you think?
It makes me think that you had it later.
I did. All of my friends were pretty much well developed before I got developed. Mine, actually, what happened to me was I blew up like a balloon. I got really chubby. And you'll sort of see that. You'll see that around sort of Finn's age, you know, kids, boys and girls, both of them tend to stack on a whole load of weight. They call it, there's a word for it, it's called puppy fat. Because, you know, when you get puppies, they're so fat and they're so cute, and then when they grow up, they're not as fat. So they call it puppy fat. And then as they get taller, that puppy fat sort of stretches out. Or as with me, what happened was like someone took a cheese slicer and just went whoop and left all the fat where they just sort of cut the molds out, and I lost the weight off my hips. And then the fat all stayed on where the breasts were.
I wonder if I went through that.
No, you were severely undernourished and you had malnutrition. True. So you never really had puppy fat. When you were born, for the first year of your life, when you were on bottles, you were huge. You were the fattest little baby. Oh my God, you were beautiful. Healthy, big cheeks, and Dad and I used to kiss you one on each cheek, and it would push your lips. It was so fat and mushy, and you had rolls on your legs, like on the thighs, like a Shar-Pei. You know?
I don't know what a Shar-Pei is.
It's a dog. The dog with all the extra rolls, you know? The dog with all the extra fat rolls. Anyway, yeah, you were big. When you were on bottles, I wish I'd never taken you off bottles. At least I would have known that you would have gotten nutrients. But I was so scared at the time when we had our diagnosis that you were going to be a 14-year-old on bottles. I was. That's why I but I wish I hadn't, because nutritionally you would have been better off. But you've made a huge change to your diet, haven't you? You've made it hasn't been easy for you.
Yeah.
New foods hasn't been easy at all. But you've done it, and what happened when you started eating healthy?
I started to grow.
You started to grow. You shot up like a giraffe. As soon as you started eating those vegetables around sort of 10, 11, that's when we